Spain is battling some of its worst wildfires in decades. 4 firefighters are dead, tens of thousands have been forced from their homes, and more than 100,000 hectares of countryside have been destroyed. Tonight, flames are spreading into the Picos de Europa mountains, forcing the closure of part of the famed Camino de Santiago pilgrimage route. The fires come after more than 2 weeks of relentless heat. Temperatures have topped 45 degrees and strong winds and smoke are making the fight even harder. Nearly 2,000 troops are on the ground as officials warn this is one of the toughest wildfire seasons Southern Europe has seen in 20 years. I'm Nicole Fröhlich in Berlin, and this is The Day.
Such young people had their whole lives ahead and are gone. That's the hardest thing.
It was like hell. We've never been as scared as we were yesterday.
These are often called new generation fires, and they have a virulence that, with climate change, we have never experienced before. That feeling of powerlessness, the smoke everywhere, and nothing you could do.
Also on the day, Palestinians flee Gaza City ahead of an expected assault by as many as 80,000 Israeli troops.
You sit quietly until an evacuation order comes. Then you start packing your things and leave. And just when you think it's finally over, you settle down, only be told to evacuate again.
Welcome to the show. It's being called the summer from hell. Spain is no stranger to wildfires, but it's facing one of its toughest crises in years. Dozens of blazes are tearing through the northwest of the country, forcing evacuations and putting homes, lives, and livelihoods at risk. Nearly 2,000 soldiers have now been deployed to help firefighters on the ground, but soaring temperatures and strong winds are making the battle even harder.
Soldiers work through the night to fight what feels like never-ending wildfires across large swathes of northwestern Spain. A further 500 military personnel were deployed over the weekend, bringing the number to almost 2,000 as authorities battle around 20 major wildfires. Continued high temperatures and strong winds have complicated efforts to bring blazes under control. Here in Galicia, specialist forest firefighters tackled the flames at close range. The head of the regional government says that evacuations are being carried out, with many homes still under threat.
We've been living this for 4 days. It's all around us. It's bothering us. We haven't slept in 4 nights. We're having a very bad time.
On Sunday, King Felipe visited the military emergency unit headquarters, where he thanked both soldiers and civilians for their efforts.
This cannot easily be stopped with traditional means, but you are still there, fighting against it and doing what is most important, which is protecting and caring for the civilian population.
Data from the EU's European Forest Fire Information System shows that more than 3 times the average area is currently on fire in Spain. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said there are some challenging days ahead and the weather is not on Spain's side. He has also promised a national pact to deal with what he called the climate emergency.
Let's bring in journalist Irene Baños Ruiz. Irene, where are the worst affected areas right now, and how close are the flames to major towns or tourist destinations?
Hi. Right now we have around 20 major fires still ongoing, actively being battled, but there are more than 40 fires ongoing, particularly in the northwestern of Spain. So still the problem is major. Authorities are doing their best to prevent its spread, but we have seen also that it has already arrived to parts of other parts of Spain, like Extremadura. So we are not only now seeing the very north of Spain, the northwestern, but also going down to southern, eastern, western.
Up in the north, authorities have closed part of the Camino de Santiago. How significant is that for locals and for the thousands of pilgrims, of course, who normally travel that route in summer?
Of course, it's very significant for tourism, also for pilgrims, but I think we have to remember that 4 people have lost their life and that around 30,000 people have been already evacuated from their houses. There are around 120 people that are locked down in their houses right now in terms of prevention. So, of course, it will affect the tourism and the economic activities, but above all, it is affecting the local people that have been their livelihoods devastated. And not only the livelihoods, but also the historic memory. These mountains in Spain, these forests represent a cultural heritage that will be lost forever.
Yeah. You mentioned the 4 people losing their lives. Those were firefighters. What are conditions like on the ground for those battling the flames?
Yes, firefighters, but also people that are volunteer. Let's remember that we have a lack of resources in terms of emergency response, even though now all the authorities are activated and are sending more resources. We are even receiving help from other countries, but many people are volunteering as they see their animals, for instance, dying. Of course, the situation on the ground is terrifying and the lives are at risk. We might not forget that.
Yeah. Let's talk about just the scale of this. The defense minister said these fires are unlike anything seen in 20 years. And Spain is no stranger to wildfires, especially in the hot season. What is it that makes them so difficult to control?
Well, there's a combination of factors, as all experts agree, that make these fires very difficult to control and that also make them so devastating. It's important not to point to one single cause because there is really a combination of different factors. Of course, we have the first one, which is that we have experienced 15 days of heat wave. This is unprecedented in the history of Spain and all over Europe, and that is fueling, obviously, this scale of forest fires. But also we have, as we were mentioning, a lack of prevention and a lack of emergency response. Firefighters are working under-resourced, and that makes it much harder also to control these fires. But also the ecosystem have changed, and also the way we live. There are more and more urban populations closest to these areas, to these forest areas, which make for the authorities, for them to be working much more into preventing fatalities, human fatalities, and not being able to implement so much the strength into the forest itself. So everything it's coming into a mix that makes it much stronger. Of course, we also have to remember that about 90% of the forest fires in Spain are human caused. It doesn't mean they are necessarily intentional, but they might come also from neglected actions or malpractices. So that's also something we need to take into account when we talk about prevention and awareness raising. And of course, as we were mentioning, the rural depopulation that leave these forests with a poor management, and leaves a lot of flammable content, a lot of flammable vegetation to be burned in a very fast manner if the climate context allows it, as it has been the case right now.
These 90% that you mentioned are, of course, the overall statistics of wildfires in general. What are authorities saying about the causes of these specific fires? Is there any information?
Yes, once again, also the experts are saying there is a combination of factors. We cannot point to one single factor. Remember that there are right now, even right now, only 40 different fires across the country, with 20 of them being actively battled. So it means that not all of them have the same cause. Some of them have been caused by direct human activities. Others might have been fueled because of the weather conditions. So we cannot point to one single cause for every or for all of the fires we are seeing and experiencing these days, but really come back again and again to this combination of factors that require an increase of prevention and sustainable land management and, of course, emergency response for the near future.
Yeah. Irene, temperatures have reached 45 degrees. What's the forecast? Is there any hope that cooler weather will bring relief?
Yes, we are expecting that temperatures will lower in the upcoming days, and hopefully humidity will also increase. That might give some breath for firefighters to counteract against this tragedy. But of course, we can not really be sure that this will be the end of the fire, but at least this will again give a breath. And of course, yes, we have experienced a tremendous heat wave of 2 weeks. That was unprecedented. And even though these 40 degrees or plus 40 degrees are not maybe measured in the same places that the fire took place, the temperatures have been much more higher than they used to be or that they would have been without human-caused climate change.
That's journalist Irene Baños Ruiz. Many thanks.
Thank you.